Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bigfoot Tales. And today we're going to leave the country again. We're going to go to the country of Laos, and we're going to talk about a human apes. This was a tribe of people that lived in the as then unexplored depths of the Laos jungle. And we're going to do a comparative sort of to what we now call the Orang Pendek of that Asian region. And this is a particularly interesting story. Many of the things about it I haven't really been able to find a lot of background on it. It involves a Professor George G. Shelley. He was an anthropologist. Couldn't find out a whole lot about him, but it also involves a quite well-known at the time explorer, adventurer by the name of Carl Bock, who was somewhat of a anthropologist, geologist, a lot of different areas of interest of his, kind of like a Indiana Jones from the 1800s sort of character. But this in particular involves a family of 8 people that were brought out of Laos. They were not humans as we know them, or maybe they were. Since I wasn't there, I can't tell you exactly what went on, just going by the stories. But apparently these human apes, as they were called, lived in the trees. They were able to climb trees similar to an ape, but they did not have the opposing toes such as modern monkeys do. But we'll get right into the article. And again, I'm going to show you here in the background a picture of the or two of the young lady that was captured. You'll see that she bears quite a resemblance to Julia Pastrana, which I've shared here many times in my videos, which was an exceptional woman from the Sinaloa state in Mexico. But let's get right into the story. This is from the Quebec Daily Telegraph of January 19th of 1885. It was originally published in the Philadelphia Times. I couldn't find the actual original article, so I'm not sure if much had been changed in this particular printing of it or not. But here's the story. Again, this is from January of 1885, so this is a fairly old story. Human apes, remarkable stories about free-living men. I am prepared to swallow the whole story, except the pouches in the mouth, said a gentleman the other day, to whom Professor George G. Shelley, anthropologist and member of the Geographical Society, was recounting the story of a hairy family, clearly human, but bearing many strong resemblances to the anthropoid apes, which were secured by himself and the well-known explorer Carl Bock, aided by some native soldiers in the wilds of Laos in the year 1832. I hear there are, said the professor, 3 distinct races of men who live in trees. There are Indians in South America who inhabit the borders of the Orinoco, Tukian, and Madeira rivers, the Vedas of Ceylon, and the Krau Manik of Laos, a dependence of Siam. Krau Manik means man-monkey. Laos is a part of the world which has never been thoroughly explored, and comparatively little is known about it by geographers and scientists. It contains from 800 to 1,000 square miles and lies between the 15th and 20th degrees of north latitude, north of Siam, east of Benamkong, west of Annam, and about 400 miles southwest of Tonkin. The reason why Laos has not been thoroughly explored is because almost everyone who has attempted it has died of malarial fever. That part of the country in which the Krau lives is very swampy, is inhabited only by the men who live in trees, and by elephants and snakes. The people live in trees to escape the snakes and the wet ground. They weave the branches together to build huts therein. In climbing the trees, they use their toes as a monkey does. They do not grasp the trees with their legs as we do. They do not use fire. They live on dried fish, wild rice, and the rind of the green coconut. Their only weapon is a club. 10 years ago, Karl Bach, the author of The Manhunters of Borneo and My Travels in Siam, was traveling in Asia on behalf of Mr. Farini, the English Barnum, to look for all the tall people which were said to live there. In the court of the King of Burma, he saw and talked with a hairy family, which were kept by the king for his amusement, as European kings formerly kept fools and dwarfs. Bach tried in every way to secure them to take them to Europe, but he failed. He offered $100,000 for one of them, but money is no object there. They have more of it than they know what to do with. These children that Bach saw were the grandchildren of a hairy couple which Crawford, who went to Burma in 1835 as an English plenipotentiary, saw there, and of which he published an account in his book, A Mission to the Coast of Ava. Crawford said that these people had been given to the King of Burma by the King of Laos. Early in 1882, I joined Karl Bach at Singapore. We went on the Straits of Malacca and made an expedition into Rumbo in the Malay Peninsula, where it was reported that a hairy race lived called Jangkurs, but we did not find them. We then went to Rangoon, and from thence to Bangkok, the capital of Siam. Bach had once cured the Prime Minister of Siam of a malignant disorder. This was the means of procuring us an escort, 20 elephants, and letters to the King of Laos. After 4 months' journey, partly by river, we reached Giang, the capital of Laos. Our letter from the King of Siam procured us the good offices of the King of Laos, who gave us a guide, fresh elephants, and escorts of 10 native soldiers, armed with spears and bows and poisoned arrows. After a journey of several weeks, we came to the swamps where the hairy people lived. But we had hard work to catch them, or even to see them. They are wonderfully alert, their scent is remarkably keen, and they are very shy and timid. We saw many of their huts, built in the branches of trees, before we saw a person. At last, we surprised and surrounded a family, a man, a woman, and a child, at their meal. We made a dash for them and captured them. The parents made little resistance, but the child fought, scratched, and bit like a monkey. None of them were clothed in anything but hair. We took them to Giang, and there the king refused to allow the woman to go out of the country. He had a superstition that it would bring him bad luck. She is kept in his court and treated with high consideration. She appeared to have little affection for the child and made no opposition to its being taken from her. We started from Bangkok with the father and child. At a stopping place called Chinang, the whole party was attacked with cholera. The hairy man captured, and 3 of the escort died. The rest recovered, though. Mr. Bach came very near dying. We landed in Europe with the child October 4th, 1882. The child is now known as Kra. We know by her teeth that she is 8 years old. She talks English and German now, can read and write, and has developed a true feminine love of fine clothes. She is modest, affectionate, playful, and easily managed. Every part of her body is covered with hair except her palms and soles. The hair on her forehead grows upward. That on her back grows inward toward the spine and will form a sort of mane, as her father and mother had when she grows older. Her forehead is covered with thick black hair about 3/8 of an inch long. The hair of her forehead is entirely distinct from the hair on her head. Her hands and feet, though entirely human in shape, have the prehensile qualities of a monkey's hand. She has 13 dorsal vertebrae and 13 pairs of ribs, like the chimpanzee, while we have only 12. And she has pouches in her mouth in which she carries nuts and other food like apes. At this point, the visitor made the remark which stands at the beginning of this article. Professor Shelley disappeared for a moment and returned with the child. The pouches in her mouth was there, and in each one of them was a filbert almost as big as a hickory nut, and all that the professor had said about her was proved true. And that's the end of the article. Again, this is about a possible Orang Pendek connection from out of Laos, which indicates quite likely that what we're really looking for is not some sort of a Hollywood and horrible monster, but more like a human sort of creature. But I'll leave it to your imagination. Again, this is a documented story, so it's true. We know that it actually happened. And again, I'll leave it up to you. And thanks again for visiting Bigfoot Tales once again, and we'll see you next time. Until then, happy squatching.